You know, I've seen the trailers and poster for this movie, and I just had a sixth sense it was going to be good.
You know, I saw a sign about it down by the village.
Really? Huh. Well, I mean, I saw the Rotten Tomatoes reviews, and they looked pretty split.
Yeah. We'll see if this movie's unbreakable or not.
What's going on, guys? We're the Cinefanatics. I'm Chris Adams.
And I'm Robert Adams.
And that's right, we're here to do a review for Glass.
This is for an M. Night Shyamalan movie, right?
Yeah.
That's right, this is happening.
What? No!
Okay, we can stop this now. Yeah, so we're here to review Glass. We just got out of seeing it, and this is going to be a spoiler-free review.
As much as you can do for an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
So, we saw the movie Glass.
Yep.
Good night, everybody.
Tune in next time. Shattered all our expectations.
Wow.
I'm out of puns.
Yeah, thank God. So, again, spoiler-free review, and, I mean, that is kind of a joke. It is hard to do a spoiler-free review about an M. Night Shyamalan movie.
Because usually it's the twists in the movies that really drive home the punch as to whether or not you actually like the movie.
Or if there even is a twist in some cases. There's been some of these M. Night Shyamalan movies that you're like...
No, the plants, it was halfway through the movie.
Yeah, I mean... is that a twist? Seriously?
There's one in Stuart Little, right? He wrote that.
Oh, God. So... trying to break down this movie, I would say, like, of course we know that this movie is the third in a threequel following Unbreakable and Split.
The Unbreakable trilogy?
I guess. So, the thing is throughout these movies, there's been some weird swings of themes. Mm-hmm. I mean, Unbreakable... in the end, turns out it's kind of like a comic book movie with it setting up your hero and villain. Split really didn't have anything to do with any of this until like the last second of the movie when, oh look, there's David Dunn.
Yep.
So this movie continues everything built up, I would say, originally in Unbreakable. And... kind of makes you wonder whether or not this is a comic book movie. I'm kind of...
yeah, it's kind of hard to say anything without spoiling.
Yeah,
much.
I mean, there's a couple of different directions I would say that this could go. You just have to be able to see it from those different thought processes.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting, the different direction that it was going. You know, part of me, and you know, this is... We can talk a little bit about the story and the direction here, is that I like it, but at the same time, I don't necessarily feel like M. Night Shyamalan really had this story planned out between all three films by the time he got to this one. I'm not saying that he just wrote it on the fly as he went, but maybe he had some themes and some ideas that he wanted to carry over between the three movies. But for this one, and I guess, for me, it might be just because Split was in the middle and it kind of split the two stories up, where it separated the whole Mr. Glass and David Dunn thing.
Thought you were
stories.
out of puns.
Well, it's less a pun and more of an actual needed word.
Yeah.
Where, you know, those two guys were in those two stories, and then this story in between was a completely different story about a completely different person, and only was related at the very end. Mm-hmm. And so it makes me feel like these stories are kind of disjointed a little bit, that they weren't necessarily the plan he had the entire time when he was doing Unbreakable originally.
And whether he was even planning on Unbreakable going beyond just that first movie.
Yeah, I mean, so there were reports that he did tell Bruce Willis and Samuel Jackson, hey, this is the first in a trilogy, but it took almost, another 20 years or so?
Yeah.
Almost another 20 years before we even saw, well, give or take, wherever Split came out, 2017.
Yeah. I think the only other thing to really touch upon was, like, the acting.
So, I mean, as far as that goes, as far as the acting goes, like, for me... this movie is built around those characters. If the characters don't work, the movie doesn't work. Because the story it's kind of bigger than you would think normally. Yeah, it's really, it's around Samuel Jackson, Bruce Willis, James McAvoy, and then the second tier characters, you know, you got Casey, you have
Joseph
Dunn.
And Elijah Price's mom.
Yeah.
And I kind of like how they stepped up on this. Like, when I first heard that the three of them were going to be in it, I was thinking, okay, they'll be all secondary side characters. They're actually a pretty decent part of this movie, a part of the story, and I really like that.
I figured Joseph would have, like, maybe a couple scenes, like, right at the beginning, just to show that he still exists, and then he would just go off camera and we wouldn't hear from him again. No. He's in the movie. And then you have Sarah Paulson as the therapist, whatever you would call her doctoral role. It was a good role for her. But again, like the main star of this is still James McAvoy.
The ability to switch in between all those personalities. And here's the thing: in Split was primarily made to show off that split. All the different characters that he interchanges into, like, throughout the whole movie, and got rave reviews for it. In this movie, we take that same basic principle, but we're kind of adding, again, this is back to the theme, but we're kind of adding a comic booky feel to it. He's changing in and out of these personas a little easier, I would say, and therefore being a little more dynamic with these characters.
So we're actually seeing the change happen, like, firsthand, whereas in Split, it'd be like behind a closed door or something. We didn't necessarily see him immediately go from one to the other.
Well, like a lot of times in this, other than like when he became the Beast, where he would basically just take off his shirt, a lot of times...
And veins pop.
Yeah. A lot of times, like, the camera, and I was looking for that in this, while he is changing a lot faster and he's changing in front of other characters, he still doesn't change in front of the camera.
The camera angle changes or something.
The camera angle changed, it would cut back to someone, and then, like, I know at one point he's talking to someone as lights are flashing, and then it goes to someone, and then the next thing we see is it's back to him as his Patricia role, and he's all bundled up with his blanket and stuff like he's Patricia.
That's true, but they did it in such a way where it just felt more fluid this time, where it wasn't like, oh, he walked out of the room and came back as a different person.
Yes.
That being said, I feel like that heightens the difficulty of it for him in this movie rather than it did in Split. Especially since in this movie, well, in Split he played like 5 different characters. 5, 6 maybe.
This one he kind of reached out to a couple more.
This one they definitely had more of his personalities than you saw in Split. So you're looking at another like 12. I don't know. The number's definitely higher though. Again, making the difficulty a lot higher for him. So yeah, I think he knocked it out of the park again.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think there's really any much more we can talk about with this movie.
Yeah.
I mean,
my thing is, if you liked Unbreakable and you liked Split, or you liked one of them and didn't like the other one, I don't know. Either way, this is going to be a movie for you. I think it's definitely worth going to check it out.
I would also, one of my first thoughts right when the movie ended is, I would also recommend potentially watching this movie like in some kind of a viewing party or pattern with the first two. Go back and watch Unbreakable, then watch Split, then watch this one, and see if maybe everything feels a little more cohesive.
Maybe.
Just because of that distance, especially the distance between Unbreakable and this one. Split really isn't a glue between these two movies. Like you were saying, it really does go from Unbreakable to Glass.
Yeah.
Weird. And Unbreakable Glass. And
almost as if you didn't need Split except for just to know who James McAvoy's character is.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think it would be much better if it was viewed all in one.
Yeah. And that being said, like, I enjoyed the movie. I thought as an overall package, it was good. It told a good story. I thought twists in there. There are twists. It's an M. Night Shyamalan movie. I thought it was good. I thought, it brought it home for this trilogy. I don't necessarily feel like there needs to be another one. They could if they wanted to. They
could in a way. And it really has to do with the last line that the characters in that last scene said.
Yeah.
That sets up the possibility of them doing something
if they wanted to, but they don't have to. And they could leave it here and it would feel fine.
Yeah.
So, definitely recommend going and checking it out.
for overall your rating for this, I would say out of like what 5 shards of glass.
We're reaching now.
Yeah.
I would give it a solid 3.
That's what I was kind of thinking too.
Man, we really need to start having different opinions on things.
Well, here's the thing. Like, originally I came into this and I was like, I don't even know if I want to rate this because, like, at some point I can see why there's negative reviews for it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think if you look at this movie from a different perspective, this movie could, I wouldn't say it's like mind-blowing, but it could be kind of brilliant. The way it was orchestrated and put together. It just, I guess it really depends on your mood and your connection to the previous movies and your characters.
I think it's going to take a repeated viewing for me, for sure.
Probably. So, yeah, I'm probably going to agree. 3 shards of glass, and yeah, it's going to do it for this video. So, if you like this video, please drop us a like, give us a comment. Are you planning on seeing Glass this weekend? If you did see it, what did you think about it? Did you like it? Did you not like it? And also, there's probably some kind of a subscribe button over here, and there's some video over here. You know what to do with those by now.
Reactions, reviews, all of them for you to see.
And as always, we're not actually here. We've been dead the whole time.
What a twist!
Later.
See ya.
What? No.